Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online series 7 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Today we're trying out a really fun hyper-offense team built by a player called Pado, who is actually the 2019 International European Champion. I've linked Pado's socials in the description below. He streams pretty frequently on Twitch, so please go check him out. And he actually built this team and finished top 4 in a pretty big online grassroots tournament this last weekend, so congrats to him. As you can see, the team has a lot of fun components, including the return of Clefairy and Porygon-Z, AV Raikou with Bulldoze and Weakness Policy Metagross, and Perish Song Politoed. I think typically this team wants to pick up knockouts in the early game. If you use Porygon-Z or Metagross, you can really try to just pick up knockouts in the first couple of turns and then just end the game with the Perish Song and Politoed. As you can see, most of the Pokemon on this team also have Protect, so the Protect endgame is something to really play towards when you have Perish Song as well. So if you can pick up 2 knockouts on the first 2 turns, bring in Politoed and click Perish Song, you'll often just win the game, especially with Clefairy support and Fake Out support from the Rillaboom. So one thing that's important is deciding whether to go with like the Raikou Metagross route or the Clefairy Porygon-Z route. Porygon was obviously really common a couple series ago, but has really fallen out of the format. I think a lot of people have honestly just forgotten about it as a Pokemon. Urshifu being as popular as it is also makes Porygon slightly tricky here. And I think like one thing to note is that Pado initially, or the tournament that he competed in, it was like an open sheet, team sheet tournament. So you know, knowing, for example, whether or not your opponent is banded or sashed Urshifu is kind of a big deal, at least when I was practicing with this team, like, because you can survive a regular close combat if you have Friend Guarding your Dynamax, but if they're Choice Banded, Choice Band close combat can actually one-shot Porygon-Z, even Dynamax, and with Friend Guard, and so, like, that's kind of a big deal. So I think in best of one, it definitely involves a little bit more variance, but that being said, I think this team can very easily sweep through teams, especially if you lead properly and, you know, you get either Porygon or Metagross activated. So, really excited to feature this team. Thank you to Pado for the team as well. Please go check him out. Once again, he is linked in the description below. And let's just get started with today's episode. As always, if you enjoy, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. Question of the day, I want to know what your favorite normal type Pokemon is with us using Porygon-Z. Let me know in the comments below. I think having played a couple of games with this team just to get the hang of it, Porygon is really interesting because, like, very few people honestly build for it nowadays, and so it can really expose like team building gaps on a lot of different teams and just do a ton of damage. And you know, one of the main strengths of Porygon is that it's basically able to one-shot anything that's not Dynamaxed, especially because this Porygon has obviously Hyper Beam, but you also have Dark Pulse and Thunderbolt, so you have really good coverage. In fact, in one of the games I just played, Helping Hand Max Darkness can one-shot Dynamax Metagross. And there are very few Pokemon that can effectively one-shot a Dynamax Metagross, right? So the fact that it has that potential, I think, is really strong. I love the Politoed here as well, because obviously it's not going to do very much damage, but you know, it's another Helping Hand user, which just further enables Porygon and Metagross, but you also have Perish Song, so it's very useful in the late game. So, let's get into game 1 of today's episode. We're going up against, I mean, we've seen so many variants of this stuff recently, like, you know, Spectrier plus Clef. What could be a little bit annoying here is the Whimsicott and the Urshifu. Once again, you know, not knowing whether it's banded or sash Urshifu makes things kind of tricky. I just don't think I can really get away with Raikou Metagross here, given that my opponent is Spectrier and the Urshifu. So, I think I'm going to just go with the classic Clefairy, Porygon-Z, Rillaboom, Politoed. My opponent's team is pretty offensive as well, but that means that they are not going to be very defensive as a result, right? They're not going to have too much bulk invested, and so we should be able to one-shot most things with Porygon here. One of the questions is to determine the items here. I think most likely it's going to be Banded Urshifu, Sash, Whimsicott, Life Orb on the Spectrier, and potentially Specs on the Regieleki as well. I wouldn't be surprised if my opponent had multiple choice items on that team. And then Heatran typically is Shook-a-Berry nowadays. So, Raikou Metagross is compelling if your opponent has like a slower mode. For example, you know, we've run into a lot of like Glastrier teams where they don't immediately set up Trick Room. And this team has pretty good anti-Trick Room denial, right? Because you have Porygon-Z, you could just Helping Hand Max Darkness most Trick Room users, and that one-shots most of them. Or even Helping Hand Max Strike, right, against something like Cresselia if you're worried about a Colbur-Berry. But it's going to be Spectre or Clef, okay. Honestly, that works for me. Turn 1's kind of interesting, though, because it's like, I think the best play is probably to just protect Clefairy, Max Strike into the opposing Clef. Yeah, because we have Friend Guard. It's just that this Max Strike is super duper obvious, so like I could see my opponent's Clefairy going for a Protect, but like we're both in an awkward spot here where like Spectrier can't really do very much damage to Porygon. Porygon could do damage to Spectrier with the Max Darkness. So, like, I could have read into a Protector and gone for, like, helping hand Max Darkness out right here, but I honestly think Protect is fine, like, especially because we actually lowered the Spectrier speed with the Max Strike as well. Yeah, so they Dynamax, which is fine. As always, one of the things about Spectrier is knowing, like, there's two possible sets that it typically runs, right? One of them is a more offensive set where you're often Life Orbed and you just, like, try to do as much damage as possible, but the other possible set is a defensive set, like Focus Sash, Will-O-Wisp, Snarl, for example. So identifying that is important, but given my opponent's team, given that they've got that Whimsicott, and given that it's Clef plus Spectrier, I think it's safer to assume that it's an offensive Life Orb set. So context really matters, right? What is surrounding that Pokemon often will help you, determine before you even see the set what it could potentially be. Obviously, sometimes your opponents can actually use it as bait, which is actually really cool when team building, but here I think it's safe to assume it's Life Orb, especially with it Dynamaxing. Okay, they go for Helping Hand. Honestly, I don't mind this because PZ should not take much damage. I wonder if it's just Helping Hand Phantasm into Clef, because if so, that's a really good turn for us. Okay, they do offer Max Strike here onto PZ. So that's a really good play, but, I mean, I think if we KO Clefairy, it's honestly fine. I could have gone for Follow Me there, but honestly, I would think we faint from a Follow Me, so I don't want to risk that. And for some reason, my game gets darker now every time a max move comes out. I don't know if that's happening to you, but the recent update seemed to have caused that, so yeah. Okay. I'd say that was a better turn for my opponent. If they targeted Clefairy, we'd be in a phenomenal spot. Porygon taking as much damage as it did is slightly concerning. But I think it's okay. It depends. They bring out Regieleki. Okay. Regieleki. I don't think you're going to be... Okay, here's the problem. If you're Specs Electro Web, now I'm nervous. Sorry, not Specs Electro Web. Specs Electro Ball. You can just one-shot Clef, maybe. Max Strike, I think, does KO Porygon here. This is a great play by my opponent turn 1. Like, I'm leaning towards Follow Me, but if they actually have Specs Electro Ball and they one-shot Clefairy, we just lose the game from there. So, I guess we'll find out. I'm just going to go Strike into Lecky and Follow Me. Because if we pick up the knockout onto Lecky, and it's a 3 versus 2 advantage, Politoed should just be able to click Perish Song. Okay, they just T-Bolt. I think we survived this, right? Okay, great. And they go for Quake. I don't think that helps them survive, right? Does the Lecky survive now? That could be a problem. I guess it could be Sash Lecky still here, right? I was assuming Sash Whimsicott, but Kobo Whimsicott's decently common. That being said, I don't know. I really can't see an Lecky surviving this. Spectrier does get that special attack boost, though, which could be a problem. Max Darkness, I don't think would have KO'd there, so I don't think that ever is the play. Okay, we do KO the Lecky. That's good. We lowered the Spectrier speed, too, which is nice. I have Rillaboom for Fake Out right now. Okay, actually, one thing I want to double check is Porygon's speed relative to Spectrier. I think we outspeed now, but I just want to confirm that really quickly. Because that's actually a really big deal, and it makes a big difference as to what I do this next turn. Because I think then I would definitely bring in Rillaboom. I just want to double check what Spectrier's speed stat is if it's maxed out. I don't remember off the top of my head. It's 200. 200. I think they might still outspeed us then. Bring out Rillaboom here. I guess I was gonna bring out Rillaboom anyway, right? They're gonna bring out the Urshifu. Okay. Wait, no. We should be faster with the PZ. Yeah, I think we should be faster here, right? We're 142. So, given this, then, I actually think we can just fake out Max Strike into Urshifu, because I really think Urshifu is going to be banded here. If we pick up a knockout onto that, we should just win the game, even if it's a 2v1. Well, I suppose Spectrier could get another KO. But I don't think Max Darkness KOs Spectrier here, which is my concern. Maybe it's better, though, because then, if I Max Darkness into it... Then I can glide. Okay, yeah, they don't protect with Urshifu, which is good. They flinch. Yeah, we're faster. They attacked first there. No, that's not surprising, because we lowered Spectrier speed. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to confirm we were faster than Spectrier. But, yeah, because it's 2/3, right, of their current speed stat. So if they're 200, they're down to 133, and we have... Oh, they actually strike. Interesting. Okay. Honestly, I don't even think we need to go for Perish Song right now. I think we just go for damage. Does Helping Hand Grassy Glide with Seed KO the Spectre? I would think so. Spectre's not very bulky, and this is Miracle Seed as well. The alternative is I could read into who Spectre is targeting this turn and call it correctly. We win. And I think it's likely you target the Rillaboom, but... I guess the other question is whether or not Glide plus Scald is stronger, or Helping Hand Glide is stronger. Given the special defense boost, I lean towards just going for Helping Hand Grassy Glide here. I think with Miracle Seed, Grassy Terrain, and Spectrier being as frail as it is, this should be enough for a knockout. I'm pretty sure it was Choice Banded Rillaboom. I'm sorry, Choice Banded Urshifu there. Yeah. Okay. We lose, though, if they survive this, and then Shadow Ball one-shots Rillaboom, and then Life Orb doesn't pick up the knockout as well. But I would think this plus Life Orb chip is enough. Yeah, okay, nice. Okay, that was kind of intense. My opponent made a really nice play turn 1. Honestly, I think they just needed to Max Strike on turn 2 instead of Max Quaking, because the special defense boost didn't really help them. If they go for a Max Strike, then you basically keep up with Porygon and ensure that you outspeed Porygon in the subsequent turn. So, I think one of the slightly scary things about this team is that, you know, Porygon isn't exactly the fastest Pokemon, so you do have some Pokemon that can outspeed it. Tailwind is really common in the metagame as well, obviously, and so Tailwind can further enable your opponent's Pokemon to outspeed you. So, yeah. Okay, that was a close one, though. It's good to know that PZ outspeeds anything, or like most of the common Pokemon in the format after the -1 drop. In fact, pretty much everything that you can actually get a speed drop on, because like you're not going to drop Dragapult speed, right? That's like the only thing that's really typically used that's really faster than Spectrier. So yeah, I think this Porygon is just max speed, max special attack, if I remember correctly, but I just wanted to double check those speed tiers because it's been a while since I've used Porygon-Z and not in this format against all of these new Pokemon. That is a team. Whoa. Cofagrigus, Togekiss, Glastrier, Torkoal, Klefki, and Tyranitar. Wow. Okay, so if you want to get Trick Room up, you have to lead Togekiss plus the Mummy here. So I think... oh, I do have slight Trick Room denial if I go Rillaboom Porygon, because I could fake out Togekiss, max Darkness. The question is, are you Dark Resist or are you Ghost Resist? I think because I have to respect the threat of the Dark Resist Berry, I'm going to go Raikou Metagross instead. Politoed in the back. The Perish Song endgame is really good here, I think, in my opinion. I want to bring Rillaboom, but it's actually pretty bad here, right? It doesn't do much into... like Togekiss, Glastrier, or Torkoal. So that's a really cool Trick Room team. Klefki plus Cofagrigus. It's interesting. Yeah, that last game was really close, and I think we were not in a good position if my opponent just max strikes instead of max quaking. So that's why like each Dynamax move is really important. Consider what effect you get out of it and whether it's worth it. But I can see why my opponent wanted to go for it, because they might have wanted to survive like a max darkness if I went for it. Yeah, okay, they go Togekiss plus Cofagrigus. See, if I knew the item here on Cofagrigus, it would change my gameplay, right? If I knew they weren't Dark Resist, then I would just go Rillaboom, Porygon, probably turn 1. But I'm just going to Bulldoze here and Steel Spike. Because the thing is, with the Steel Spike, that defense boost helps out a lot against anything, right? Like, my opponent's attackers are Glastrier, Torkoal, T-Tar. So out of those three, 2 of them are physical. The last one's Torkoal, but if Torkoal comes out, I can just bring in Politoed, change the weather, and then Max Quake. So we want to basically, like I said, pick up 2 knockouts, click Perish Song, try to end the game from there. And I have a Clefairy for Friend Guard to protect this Metagross as well. Okay, they go for Follow Me, good. Yeah, that's like their only way they can really guarantee Trick Room here, but I have no reason not to Bulldoze Steel Spike. Okay, so we get the policy boosted. Very nice. Now it's a question of who my opponent switches in. I think Glastrier would make sense. But you could bring in Torkoal as well. I'm definitely going to switch Raikou out this next turn. Just depends on who. If you bring in Torkoal, for example, then I go into Politoed. If you bring out the Glastrier, I probably go into Clefairy. So, this is going to be kind of awkward because Raikou is now really, really bad, but we needed it to get this policy set up, I think. Actually, did we? I suppose we could have maybe knocked out Togekiss even without the policy boost. But I like having policy Metagross under Trick Room because it's really hard to knock out this Metagross right now. I am slightly worried about Will-O-Wisp on the Cofagrigus though. Because that can just burn Metagross. Wouldn't be surprised if that thing had some way to self-proc a weakness policy on the Glastrier. I mean, it could be policy T-Tar as well, I guess, but I think it's more likely to be on Glastrier. Although, then it begs the question, what is your item? Okay, they bring out Torkoal. Yeah, that's fine. We're just going to switch Raikou out into Politoed here and go for a Quake onto the Torkoal. Yeah, I like that. Because once again, pick up 2 KOs, click Perish Song, it's just game over, even though they have Trick Room up. So that's what I'm trying to set up right now. And Raikou actually can put in work against what my opponent has right now once I get the weather up, right? Because, like, Thunder actually does a fair amount of damage. It has Assault Vest, and with the rain up, it actually won't take very much damage from my opponent's side, even under Trick Room. Now, you might have Body Press or Earth Power on Torkoal, but Raikou can survive both of those. At least take one hit from it. So, I think here, this is pretty interesting. Metagross is looking pretty solid right now. The question is, I mean, I think like Cofagrigus can have a lot to disrupt the Metagross right now, and I'm sure you read into the Politoed switch in here, so it's kind of tricky. Alright, I just go Eruption, that's fine. Yeah, look how little Metagross takes from there in the rain. Nice. Okay, yeah, they do have Will-O-Wisp. I think it's still fine though, right? Like, I still get good damage onto Torkoal enough where, like, now I pressure with Scald this next turn, and I just need one more KO. And next turn, my opponent has no offensive pressure, basically, whereas I'm still putting on a lot of offensive pressure with both of my Pokemon. In fact, Politoed with Scald here is actually looking kind of nice. And we gave it a special defense boost, which is also kind of nice here. So this is awkward for my opponent because, like, do you switch the Torkoal out? You probably have Glastrier as your last Pokemon, but you don't want to switch in on a potential Scald, right? Honestly, I think what we do here is just we Scald into the Torkoal and we Steel Spike into the Cofagrigus. And this is actually one cool thing I didn't really talk about earlier is how the Metagross can give Politoed boosts, and what that does is set your Politoed up for the late game for a Perish Song. So that's exactly what I'm trying to go for right now. They go for Curse. Whoa! I've never seen that before. That's cool. But the idea here is by Steel Spiking, I give the Politoed a defense boost, right? So now what I can do is pivot the Metagross into Clefairy next turn and just click Perish Song. So this Politoed has a defense boost and a special defense boost. Wow, Steel Spike actually still almost KOs there. Close. I wonder if Scald would have picked up the knockout instead, but I really wanted the defense boost because I think my opponent's last one is Glastrier or Tyranitar. It's going to be one of the two, right? So what this team also does, which is kind of cool, is that it takes advantage of the fact that often players will want to conserve their Dynamax, especially against hyper-offensive teams. You'll typically play one of two ways, right? You're going to play super aggro and to try to match their offense, or you're going to say, you know what, I have enough defense to stall out your Dynamax, and then I can sweep with my Dynamax in the late game. But what I can do now is I have this defense boost. I have Clefairy in the back. I can just click Perish Song and switch out into Clefairy. If you ever have a Pokemon advantage, like you have multiple Pokemon, just Perish Song is so good, right? Because then what I do is just click Protect the next turn, double Protect, switch out Politoed, and then Protect on the third turn. And that's just instantly game over. So this is the exact Perish Song setup that I was mentioning earlier. And I think it's really good for us right now. Because no matter what your set here is on Glastrier, your best thing, even if you are policy and you activate the policy, like I have Friend Guard and the defense boost, so Politoed definitely should not go down to the Glastrier. I guess this actually gets interesting though if you read into the Metagross switch and you like Steel Spike into the Clefairy. Like somehow activate policy and Steel Spike? That would be crazy. Curse, Trick Room, Will-O-Wisp. I'm curious what the last attack is on the Cofagrigus as well. I've never seen Curse really this year, or in VGC in general, to be honest. Oh, they're just going to go for it again. Okay. And they curse the Politoed, but I think it's fine here because, like, it's 4v1 now with Perish Song. And they just Hailstorm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we just win. They target Politoed, but, like, that does no damage. I think my opponent probably needed to just bring in Glastrier earlier, but this is why I wanted to play towards Metagross, right? I was like, even if you get up Trick Room, I'm pretty sure Metagross just wins under Trick Room if we get a defense boost. So, like, using Metagross defensively to boost Politoed is actually, I think, a really critical component if you're playing with this team. And it's one that I didn't actually think about until we started playing this match. Curse was really cool, though. I've never really seen that before. But, like I said, what we do now is just double protect, switch Toad out. Like, we have 4 Pokemon against 1 with Perish Song up. It's a guaranteed win at this point. So, that's the beauty of Perish Song endgames. Yeah, so let's just double protect here. There's really not much my opponent can do. And once again, like, this is one of the cool things that I think this team does well, is that you set yourself up for these endgames where your opponent, like, basically falls behind too quickly and they think they can come back with a Dynamax, but as soon as you click the Perish Song button, it's just over. So, like, their Dynamax is basically completely invalidated now. We go for a Steel Spike, that's fine. Like, all I have to do is switch Clefairy out next turn, because the countdown is down to 2 turns now. We'll switch Clefairy out into Metagross. Countdown is to 1 turn. Switch Clefairy back in, protect. Like, if you have a switch in, because the way Perish Song works is it's 3 turns, right? So you protect on the first turn. The second turn, you want to do something. You either try to survive the attack or you switch out. Or in really dire situations, you go for like double or a triple protect. But here, yeah, I'm gonna just Scald and switch Clefairy out into Metagross. We could play this endgame like a billion different ways. It doesn't really matter. Because what matters is just being able to protect again. So Metagross was really good here, and we needed Raikou to get that policy boost. Because the problem is if I don't policy boost the Metagross, then my opponent can bring in whatever sweepers they want to, and it's looking a little scarier. So despite my opponent, you know, getting that burn off, it didn't really end up mattering because we were able to do so much damage. And honestly, like, I think they made it easier for us because they just KO'd their own Cofagrigus, which was kind of surprising. But now we just protect once more, and Perish Song ends this game. Metagross hangs on from the burn, actually. I think Politoed will survive from the curse, but yeah, just with a little bit of HP. So last turn of Glastier's Perish, though. I don't know the item on that. I wanted to say AV, but this Politoed's not exactly very offensive at all, so I have no idea. But we can just double attack here. Doesn't matter. They actually end up protecting, so they're just going to feint from Perish Song. Okay. Yeah, this game was over as soon as I knew, like, I figured we'd be in a really good spot as soon as I got the boost on Politoed, because then I knew nothing was KOing it, and then I can just switch into Clefairy for that endgame setup. So, yeah. Actually, when I was practicing with this team, I never ended up in a scenario where I was boosting Politoed for the late game, and I think that's actually, like, a really key way of playing the endgame with this team. So you want to consider that. Keep that in mind when you play towards these endgames with this. And yeah, I don't think Porygon would have worked out nearly as well for us, because if I lead Clefairy Porygon, my opponent can just go for Follow Me Trick Room turn 1. And then what do, right? I have a Porygon against a Trick Room team, and that doesn't seem super good. My opponent can probably just bring Glastrier and start Steel Spiking. I mean, I guess I could still Dynamax Porygon, but I felt a lot safer playing towards the Metagross route that game, so happy it worked out there. And I think that highlights, like, 2 critical components, right? Like, this team obviously is decently speedy. You really don't want Trick Room to go up, but sometimes your opponents will have ways to guarantee Trick Room, right? It's very, especially if we don't know the items there. Like, it's like if you're Dark Resist, I mean, I actually have no way to deny Trick Room on turn 1. So I basically, then you have to ask yourself, okay, how do I prepare myself for Trick Room so that even with Trick Room going up, we're not, like, just going to get completely swept. That's what you always have to ask yourself when you're going up against, like, Trick Room teams, especially hard Trick Room teams, because that team was, like, clearly only gonna ever try to set up Trick Room because they had multiple slow Pokemon. I guess you could play towards, like, Klefki, Tyranitar. I don't even know what that would really entail, but maybe it was Policy T-Tar and you, like, self-proc a policy. Okay, this one's interesting. I mean, we've seen a lot of pseudo, you know, Sun Trick Room. That was common in Series 5 before then as well, and it's still very good. I could go Raikou Metagross again. I lean towards Clefairy Porygon a little bit more here. I think definitely Politoed Rillaboom in the back matches up pretty well against most of my opponent's team. Yeah, I'm down for PZ and Clef here. Because if my opponent leads Dusclops, I can just Helping Hand Max Darkness. Yeah. Helping out Max Darkness, which is good. Max Strike one-shots most things on my opponent's team. I think the one thing I'm nervous about here, though, is Ally Switch Dusclops. Because if you have Ally Switch, then it turns Max Strike into such a coin flip. Like, if I'm Max Striking Dusclops' partner and they just Ally Switch, it's really, really bad. It's like one of the worst things for Porygon to go up against. Okay, it's Venusaur Dusclops. I mean, I'm leaning towards helping hand Max Darkness Dusclops here. Lower Venusaur's special defense. Venusaurs are Koba nowadays more often than anything. The slight risk here is that they actually just blind Sleep Powder, which I think is definitely a possibility. Okay, maybe this is too aggressive then. Maybe I need a cover for the Sleep Powder. Yeah, they switch out into what looks like Torkoal. See, this turn one's so hard because, like, if I Max Strike into Venusaur, they could just Protect, Trick Room, or Ally Switch, Sleep Powder. There's so many options. Yeah, they're Sleep Powdering. Oh, that's so bad. Okay. I mean, maybe it's Sludge Bomb into Clef, but I think if I'm my opponent, I just Sleep Powder there. So, like, then the best play would have been Follow Me, Max Strike into Venusaur, but there's so many things that could go wrong with that. Whereas here, like, they could miss Sleep Powder. Let's see. I think it should be Sleep Powder into PZ. Yeah, they go for it, but they do end up missing. Okay. That's obviously fortunate for us, but that's the risk of using Sleep Powder like that on turn one. It's very high risk, very high reward. Now, obviously, the odds are in my opponent's favor, but yeah. Like, I figured here the worst case was that happening, and even in the worst case, they still miss a quarter of the time, right? So, like, I really didn't like the idea of Max Striking it directly into Venusaur when they could just go for, Follow Me. What am I saying? Not Follow Me. Hold on. Let me think this through. I think we just Max Strike right now because, yeah, as soon as we pick up another KO, we just Perish Song. Like, that was obviously a huge miss turn one. And if you disable... I mean, they could actually still Ally Switch here. Let's see. If they actually go for it, that'd be a huge play. Okay, no, they just Sleep Powder. Good. That's good. That's very good. Especially because now if you set up Trick Room, like, Porygon just outspeeds again next turn. I'm curious if they are Sash Venusaur. Like, so many Venusaurs are Copa Berry nowadays. Looks like we one-shot there. So, yeah, I could have just gone Follow Me, Max Strike turn one, but I don't know. I hate Max Striking when Dusclops is out on the field, right? Because it can just go for Ally Switch, and that's just so bad for us. Okay, what's the last one now? T-Tar? T-Tar would be interesting. It is. That's honestly really good for us, right? I have Politoed and Rillaboom in the back, so I can change the weather, lower Tyranitar special defense with Max Darkness. I don't think Max Darkness one-shots here, though. It's fine. We have to take a turn to sleep on Clef, but I don't want to switch out here. And I'm down for a special defense drop. Actually, yeah, because, like, Max Darkness, I think, then puts the Dusclops in KO range from a Glide. But, I mean, I don't know. What's a better lead? Okay, if I now know that you're not Sash Venusaur... I mean, once again, I don't know if you have Ally Switch or Dusclops or not. That's what makes this really hard. Because Ally Switch just invalidates Max Strike so much, and it feels bad. Probably Max Knuckle here. Oh, Bulldoze Policy. Yeah, wait, I should have seen that coming. I don't know why I'm so surprised by that. This could be a problem, actually. Can Tyranitar sweep us in the endgame now? Maybe. Maybe. Let's see. Crits Porygon-Z, that's fine. I wonder if Max Darkness and a Dusclops was to play last turn. I'll go for Rockfall. Onto PZ. And PZ hangs on with 1 HP. I figured we'd survive that with Friend Guard, but not with 1 HP. That was so dang close. Okay, this is still very far from over, though, to be honest, because I think I actually have to glide the Dusclops right now to just pick up the KO onto it. Tyranitar could still very easily sweep through me, honestly. Because the thing is, if Dusclops hangs around and gets a Pain Split off. I just can't KO it. And if my opponent weren't Policy'd, Perish Song would be very easy endgame right now. Honestly, it also might come down to whether or not Clefairy wakes up in time here. Like, I think I can always go for Glide into Dusclops to guarantee a knockout onto that slot and to follow me on Clefairy, but the problem is if Clefairy takes another turn of sleep. I could also Protect here, but if I'm my opponent, I'm going for Pain Split into Clefairy here. I just don't think I can afford that. So, I'll follow me. And I think if we wake up here, we win. But we stay asleep. Okay. Can't complain about that, though, given that they also missed the sleep powder earlier in this match. I don't know. The problem with Dusclops is that that recovery from Pain Split. They Rock Falls. I think this KOs us, unfortunately. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Rillaboom is so clutch. Oh, but we do Feint from the Sandstorm. Oh. That's so sad. Okay. If we hung on there, it definitely would have been game over, because I just get a glide off against Tyranitar. We have Politoed. I think Politoed can still pull this off, though. Oh, it's actually really close. Because they will have the Sand up. And there's still 2 turns of Trick Room, but they have -1 Spadef, which is in our favor. They only have 1 more turn of Dynamax here. I don't think I want to play towards Perish Song. Like, I think it's better to actually just go for damage here, right? Is it? No, because Tyranitar is slower. And so once Trick Room ends, I lose if Politoed is hanging around. The question is, I mean, I could Protect here. The play I want to make the most is double Protect, but it might just be better to Scald. Who do you Rockfall here if you're my opponent? I would target Clefairy. I'm going for Follow Me Scald. Don't know if that's the play, though. Okay, we stay asleep anyway. They Rockfall. Did they target Toad? They do. Okay. Oh, that actually just one-shots us. Dang. I honestly thought we would survive that. Maybe that was kind of a bad... I thought we'd survive because Rillaboom survived, but I think that was kind of a poor assumption. So taking the 3-turn sleep there was unfortunate, but these are how games against Venusaur go, right? They're so high variance because, like, Sleep Powder plus all the sleep turns add up so much. So, I can't really complain, honestly, because we got that dodge to start off the game, but I think if we get a 2 or a 3-turn wake up, we definitely win this game, because then I just get Scald off against Tyranitar, and then Protect to stall out the last turn of Trick Room, and then Scald again. That's 2 chances to burn as well, and they're at -1 Spadef. Suppose we can crit Moonblast now. That's our hope. Clefairy does wake up, gets the Moonblast off, but... Tyranitar could miss a Rock Slide here as well, actually. But that's not enough. I could have protected Toad there as well, but... the reason I didn't protect Politoed was because I thought my opponent could have just gone for the Rockfall into Clefairy. Maybe just opting for a double protect is better there. Yeah. I think I like protecting more in that endgame. I don't know. I also could have maybe not tried to KO Dusclops with Rillaboom, but then like you just Pain Split and the Dusclops is such a problem. So I mean, this game highlights the strength of just a weakness policy setup, right? Like we had a good early game, but it didn't matter because Tyranitar came out, policy was boosted, and then Tyranitar could just cleanly sweep through everything. So yeah. If I were to replay that, what would I have done? I don't know. A game like that really does feel like it comes down to sleep turns, but I have to deny... Okay, is there a way for me to deny the sleep turns, basically, is a question. I Rillaboom for Fake Out, but it doesn't feel good to bring that into that matchup. This is an interesting team. Naganadel, Cinderace, Dragapult. Those are 3 speedy Pokemon. Glastrier is like what I'm confused about there, because you have all these like really speedy Pokemon and then just the Glastrier. But I guess it's used as anti-Trick Room, probably. Okay, Raikou Metagross not looking that great into Dragapult, so it's probably just PZ Clef here. Kartana is actually really scary, honestly. The thing with PZ Clef, Poly Rillaboom is that it kind of gets crushed by Kartana. Do I bring Raikou? Doesn't do that much damage, though. Doesn't feel great bringing it. Yeah, I think I'm still just going to go with Politoed Rillaboom. Is Metagross the call here instead of Rillaboom, maybe? Actually, yeah, what does Rillaboom do for me here? It's literally only Fake Out. I don't think it's Rillaboom, then. You know what? Let's bring Raikou. It has Thunder. Thunder's pretty cool. That's my reasoning. We don't get to bring Raikou very much either, and since we're using it on this team, why the heck not? Alright, let's see what we got here. Yeah, this is definitely interesting. Glastrier, Kartana. Huh. Out of all the Pokemon, like, Glastrier was probably, like, the one I least expected to come out, especially as, like, a Dynamax option. I feel like this is fine. I mean, I want to KO Kartana more than anything. If I want to Dynamax, Max Strike into Kartana. Honestly, Protect turn 1? Okay, they're not Dynamaxing Kartana, so ideally it's like Smart Strike into Clef, and we just bypass that. You could Sacred Sword Max Knuckle, I suppose, into PZ, but with Friend Guard we should survive. And once again, I'm just going for 2 knockouts here to Perish Song. Huh. Okay. I guess Glastrier makes sense, though. It is a lot tankier than the rest of my opponent's team. I wonder if Helping Hand Max Strike could have killed Glastrier there, but if they're AV, then definitely not, and I'd rather get the speed drop on... Well, the speed drop would have happened either way, so that's not why. But I wanted damage on a Kartana, because Kartana is a much bigger offensive threat to Politoed than Glastrier. Politoed actually does pretty well into Glastrier, right? Like, you have Hailstorm, Knuckle, Quake typically, and with Citrus Berry and Friend Guard, Poly can survive this pretty easily. This Protect is fairly obvious, so let's see if my opponent reads into it. Oh, I totally should have seen that coming. I was one? Okay. 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 Very cool. And they're sashed. I wonder if they Hailstorm here. It doesn't matter, actually, because I can just... I should have maxed Darkness there then, but I wanted to lower the speed. I just haven't run into this in so long. They do Hailstorm, so they're going to KO their own Kartana. And they target Clef, okay. Honestly, this is fine then. But, oof. Should have seen that one coming. Yeah. If you see Kartana, okay, honestly, anytime you see Glastrier, you should just ask if it has weakness policy. I've just seen so many AV Glastriers recently that I just, like, had in my head that it was AV. Now the question is whether or not Helping Hand Max Strike one-shots it. Because if it does, I think we just win next turn. But that was a sick play. I could have just gone Follow Me instead. Follow Me, Max Strike. Well, it's not even that bad of a turn for us, honestly, I think. They bring out Cinderace. Ooh, that could be bad. Because you can one-shot Clef. What do I have in back? Politoed and Raikou, which are both pretty good Pokemon to have here, actually. I think I do need damage onto the Glastrier here, so I am just going to Helping Hand plus Max Strike it. Now, they could Max Guard Glastrier. That would be a really good play on their end, actually. Okay, yeah, they don't go for it. Just Gunk Shot. If we somehow survive this, it's definitely a win for us. But even if both Pokemon go down here, I actually feel like it's still decent for us. Because we get a speed drop on the opposing end. I get a ton of damage off, and I get Poly and Raikou in. But Life Orb Cinderace could be a problem in this late game. Oh. You've got to be kidding me. It's like 3%. And they Knuckle. Okay, that's honestly fine. This should one-shot us, right? They're at +2. Yeah. +3 now. But I have Politoed Raikou. So, like, I have two things that can just knock out both of my opponent's Pokemon right now, right? I can just Thunder into Cinderace. Scald into Glastrier. Because Cinderace is at -1 speed right now. Yeah, not showing now. Ah, that was so close to KOing. But I think I have to target Glastrier there, because I don't have damage against Glastrier otherwise in the late game, right? Like, Poly and Raikou is definitely not cutting it there. I think the play here is just Thunder into Cinderace. I guess the question is whether or not Cinderace can survive a Thunder from Raikou. I wouldn't think so, but I don't know. If my opponent has Rillaboom in the back, actually, I think we just lose this. They probably do. I mean, I think I have to Scald and Thunder here, right? Vacuum Wave. Oh my gosh. Ally Switch? I mean, it doesn't matter, actually, because I KO Raikou anyway, but... Really? Does this help Cinderace survive the turn? If they don't have Rillaboom in the back and it's like Naganadel or Dragapult, I think we actually still win, but I feel like Rillaboom in the last one makes by far the most sense. Especially when you see a Politoed on this team, but I don't know. Let's find out. Yeah, we don't KO Cinderace with the Ally Switch. What's your last one? It is Rillaboom. Okay. I should have seen the Vacuum Wave coming, though. That was my bad. Not knocking out Porygon was very sad as well, but that happens. I could still maybe win this with Raikou, so I'm not going to give up. I'm going to Protect here, and... Gosh, I wonder if Snarl KOs Cinderace, because it is Psychic type right now. I honestly don't think it does. I'm just worried about them Ally switching again. Okay, I'll just Protect Thunder here. I could miss Snarl too, which is bad, and I can't let Cinderace get in another attack off. Yeah, I should have just read into the Vacuum Wave. I did not see that coming. I just haven't seen that in so long. Oh, that's interesting. I think that's actually a really big misplay from my opponent's end. Well, I can see why you wouldn't want to go for Grassy Glide immediately, so I don't know if I'd call it an immediate misplay. If there is Assault Vest Rillaboom, like I'm pretty sure we still lose this anyway. But I can Helping Hand. Actually, if we can survive a Glide here, I question whether or not I go for a Perish Song instead. No, because then Rillaboom, yeah, Rillaboom's slower here. I'm just going to Helping Hand Thunder. The main downside here is, like, I actually could have not protected Politoed last turn and then gone for, like, Protect Bulldoze here. I don't know. Let's see how much this does. They go for Glide, yeah. To Toad. Okay, Toad survives. That's actually huge, because that means I get another Helping Hand Thunder off next turn. Para would be huge here as well. This is really close, actually, now. I don't know the item on Rillaboom. If it's Assault Vest, like, he's just not going to take much damage, which is the problem here, right? Oh, that's definitely AV. Yeah, I think they win this then. Well, we do get the Para, so maybe there's a chance. Maybe there is a chance. I just do so little damage in a Rillaboom. Protect here is super obvious, but... with the Para chance, yeah, I think I just go Protect Thunder. I wish I had, like, any other attack for Rillaboom right now. So I think Rillaboom should be able to close out this one. Looks like they're not going for Glide. Okay, which makes me think maybe it's Wood Hammer into Raikou. So little damage. They do get parried. I mean, there is a slight chance now, maybe. This would be a crazy win. 1 turn of Rain, 2 turns of Terrain. I can't Perish Song anymore. Not that I could in the first place. Oh, I could in the first place, but then, like I said, if Poly goes down, we lose. Maybe the play was to Perish Song? No, but then I would need... like, with the Para, it helped. I don't know. And I didn't know the item on Rillaboom at that point, right? I'll just Helping Hand Thunder here again. This would be a crazy game to steal. They don't go for Glide. Oh, I bet they're just going to try to Wood Hammer Raikou then is my bet. Yeah. Although, you take a lot of recoil from this. Oh, they crit us. I was going to say, if we survive that, maybe we can actually win, but now I think we... well, how much recoil do you take? That's so much. But I don't think Scald KOs. I mean, I Protect here to stall out the last turn of Terrain. So I actually think it might come down to whether or not I get a full Para. That's pretty much it. Because I think Rillaboom survives. That was a nice Wood Hammer, though. Yeah, okay. What an intense game. Either way, really cool team. I just did not expect Vacuum Wave. And I should have. Like, that's something that now that I've seen, I don't think I'll ever, like, fall into the trap of again. But, yeah. No, they were paired this turn. You need to be... I mean, I protected there because, like, they should glide, right? Whereas now... Terrain disappears. Should I have just gone for the attack there outright? Maybe I should have, actually, because I faint anyway from a Wood Hammer. Like, I'm basically hoping for a Para to win anyway, right? Unless Scald actually KOs here. Oh, it's so bulky. It doesn't. Wait, they glided instead of Wood Hammering. Oh, it's still enough for a knockout. That was a crazy game. Wow. Okay, no shame in losing that. I mean, nice lead by my opponent. Like, I just didn't see Vacuum Wave coming, and that was such a mistake on my end. And also Glastrier hanging out with that low HP. I should have just Scalded, I guess, there, because I think I need a Para anyway in that game. It doesn't make sense to protect there. Like, it comes down to getting a Para off anyway. Oh, also Ally Switch I did not... Oh, they have Ally Switch on, like, everything. Yeah, I see. Well, yeah, that's one way to win in Best of 1. Why not? They literally have Ally Switch on 3 different Pokemon. Oh my goodness. I should have seen the Vacuum Wave coming, though. It's funny because it actually looks like you Dynamax Glastrier like the majority of the time when playing with this team, which I wouldn't have seen coming. That was a really close game, though. I mean, our chances of getting Paras are pretty good there in the end. You know what I want to calc? If we can actually survive the Wood Hammer on Raikou. I wasn't sure if it was going to one-shot there, because if they don't crit, maybe we can, but we were lucky enough to get the Para in the first place. I'm just really curious. Raikou into Rillaboom. Sorry, Rillaboom into Raikou. Wood Hammer into Rain. I think they're a max attack, so this is looking like it's actually a guaranteed KO. I should have just Scalded outright instead of protecting. I protected to stall out the terrain, but I don't think that actually makes sense because I needed one Para in that endgame anyway, right? Because Scald isn't doing enough to KO Rillaboom afterwards. So it was a misplay to not have just gone for Scald immediately because they do get that little bit of extra recovery after the turn as well. So our play was to just Scald immediately and just hope for the Para. Yeah, I was thinking that by going for Glide, we could have maybe survived because terrain wasn't up anymore, and then we get another Scald and we win. Like, I think you should always just Wood Hammer there because you'll win off it. Right? Because based off recoil, you'll KO us first and then you faint. So it doesn't matter if you faint from recoil. But in the end, it was enough anyway. So the main misplay there was to not just go for Scald immediately. Like, I wanted to stall terrain, but that little bit of extra recovery, like, it means that Rillaboom will definitely survive a Scald the next turn. Whereas, as you saw, even if they got full Parrot, well, if they got full Parrot there, they would also lose. Is it better? I don't know. If I'm playing towards a full Para anyway, I think it's better to just go for the Scald immediately. Because they'll always win the subsequent turn if they don't get paired. So, yeah. That was a fun set of games, though, honestly. And the losses were really close, so I honestly don't mind those very much. And I think, you know, some good takeaways. This one I just didn't expect. I mean, one, I didn't expect the Vacuum Wave stuff, and I totally should have. I just haven't seen that in so long. Like, I think I've literally run into that once, so that caught me off guard. And then the other thing was the Ally Switch Cinderace was actually a big deal. Because if you don't Ally Switch there, I just pick up a double KO. And then it becomes a 2v1 with Politoed Raikou against the Rillaboom. Which I guess it effectively ended up being anyway. But if my opponent just Wood Hammered Raikou to start that off, they would have won that a lot easier, I think. So the fact that it was even as close as it was exciting. But I should have just Scalded immediately. But they deserve to win that in the end, so yeah. Fun set of games, though, so thank you so much, as always, for watching. Thank you to Pado for the team. Please go check him out. He's linked in the description below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you all next time. All right, peace.